I need to plan the future of my children to get them through college. I'm a hard working guy.
I don't doubt that, Mr. Fernandez, but 2 people are dead.
I know.
Children were left without mothers.
I know.
We are about to watch the parole hearing of, in my opinion, a monster. A monster who was somehow sentenced to just 2 years in prison. He hasn't even been locked up for 11 months and he's already up for parole. He took 2 lives and severely injured more than 3 children, including his own. 2 lives, 11 months. Now, what's more disturbing about this case is you might say, hey, it was a car accident. You know, things happen. Well, at the end of the hearing, I'm going to go through information that Richard found that might make you think twice, that might make you wonder, was it an accident? But with that, let's jump in.
My name is Juan Fernandez, 445896.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of parole application for Juan Fernandez and May number 445896. Serving a sentence of 6 years, excused suspended after 26 months, followed by 3 years probation for 3 counts injury, risk of injury to a minor, 2 counts negligent homicide. As of today, records reflect parole eligibility date of October 19th, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It's been reviewed and shows the offender is completed the following programs. Utilize the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system. The offenders will also score in the SRT falls within the low range risk of recidivism. Sir, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. Maybe.
Excuse me.
Tell us why you think you deserve parole, sir.
I regret the action that I done. I have a big responsibility. I have 4 children that depend on me for their education and support. My main focus is to continue providing a future for my family. Going back to work as a production supervisor for General Glass International. Save money, get myself an apartment, and restart all over again with my family.
Okay.
And looking forward to reopen my business.
Mr. Fernandez, I appreciate that, you know, you're sharing about your work and your aspirations to open a business, but I don't think you understood the question. And the question was, why do you deserve parole? Why do you think you deserve parole? Not why do you want it? Why do you think you deserve it?
Well, I deserve to get granted parole. I'm a very dedicated father, hard worker. I'm sorry, I'm super nervous. It's
understandable. This is a big deal.
No, do you
want us to ask you some questions instead so that maybe that'll help?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir. So each of us will take an opportunity to ask you some questions. When we're done, we'll deliberate and then give you our decision. Okay.
Okay.
Good luck to you, sir. Ms. Chance.
Dear. So, Mr. Fernandez, tell us what happened today.
Excuse me?
Can you tell us what happened when this incident occurred?
Oh, the accident, it was August 13, 2021. About 2 days before that day, I got invited to a river. A river.
What's a river? Like a lake? A river?
Yeah, like a lake, like a river, like a lake. So, I mean, I worked that day. That day I was working. The day that we went to the river, I worked until 9 o'clock in the morning. The day before that, my wife planned everything. She pulled all the grocery to take the same day to the river.
Let me stop you there and ask you another question. Why were there so many people in the car?
I take full responsibility by having some people in the car. That day, my wife told me, "Oh, let's go pick up my best friend so she could go with us to the river because her grandmother passed away the day before." So that day I went to pick up the friends at her house. I told my wife, "Listen, it's too much people in the car." Right? So she tells me, "Oh, it's nothing gonna happen. They just go. You know what I mean? Everything's gonna be okay." So that's the reason why there was so many people in the car.
So why were you going so fast then?
What happened?
Excuse me?
What happened? Why were you driving so fast with all that many people in the car?
I'll be honest with you, I was not driving too fast. That day I felt a pop on the behind on the right side of the vehicle. So when I felt that pop, the car pulled me to the grass, to the side of the road, to the grass. And everything happened so quick. And I didn't feel the brakes in the car or anything. And I felt a big impact, like a hit. And I was unconscious because the impact of when I crashed. And then after that, my body started reacting back again because the impact, you know what I mean, took my how you say that, my the impact, it was too hard. So the only thing I remember when I was kind of reacting again, I felt a lot of people around the vehicle helping out. And the only thing I was asking to help me, help my family.
So you were still with your wife, but you were working and living in New Jersey?
We always lived in Jersey.
Oh,
Yeah. At that time, we were living in Jersey. And we lived together.
okay. So you left to go pick up her friend.
Oh, friends, yes.
So have you been able to take any programs to assist you with what happened?
I was writing to the counselor, starting on, I got the paperwork here, if I could show you guys.
The yes or no question, sir.
No, the program, they just put a program on me last month on June 18. Since the whole time I've been incarcerated, I didn't have no program in my OAPS.
So what have you been doing during that time?
Staying focused, positive, having communication with my kids through the tablet, calls, e-message. I applied to a couple of jobs here, but they say I was on the waiting list, so I never got called.
So you don't have your GED and you have vocation and EDU on your.
I have high school diploma.
2003.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So you haven't been able to take the Voices program?
Right now, I'm on the waiting list. If you want, I could show you the documents here that I have. This, I don't know if you guys gonna be able to see it.
Or vocational, educational, and job.
Yeah, but I'm just seeing if he has him on any list.
No. Says no programming completed, no work.
Right.
I started writing, I don't know if you guys gonna be able to see this, but on December, asking for my OAPS. If you could see the highlighting here on the side.
Yep.
And then I wrote back and I got this form, an official form, the same on the 3/21/2024, saying I only was to apply for a job.
Okay.
If you could see that the whole time I didn't have no program. Over here on April 17, that's what they put the vocational and the education.
Okay.
Same thing on May. I asked for my OAPS for my program, and it says the same thing. Then on May 28th, I was eligible for community relief. I applied for community relief. Then
They told you to take voices and come back.
yes, to take
Yep, I saw
voices.
that. Yep.
Right.
Then I wrote to the council supervisor. If you guys could see it here.
It's okay. You can take your other papers too and just sit back down.
All right,
But
thank you.
we get it. You applied for programs, but you haven't been able to get into it yet. Okay. So,
I know it's one starting, there's a new class starting now this month coming up. I still haven't got the confirmation yet, but I'm looking forward to complete the program.
Do you think the Voices program is going to be helpful for you?
Yes.
Okay. And what is it that you plan to do when you go back out?
Be together with my family and support them, work hard for them. And I mean, I have a tough life. I'm a single parent. And my children is the only thing I have in my life.
So you were working at the as a production supervisor at the General Glass International.
Yes. I got 19
back there.
Excuse me?
Will they take you back there, give you a job back there?
Yes, my job is dependent. I think they send a couple of letters of recommendation.
Okay. So you're willing to do that?
Yes, I've been there for 19 plus years.
Right.
Since I was 19 years old.
Okay. What do you think would be a high risk situation for you when you go back in the community?
Excuse me? Can you explain it in a different way?
What would be a high risk situation for you?
Being honest with you, I'm a very patient person, professional. I don't think I have no risk.
Who's taking care of your children now?
My sister. She's taking care of temporary.
Do you intend to have them live with you when you go back?
Of course, that's my goal.
Well, thank you for answering my question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chance. Ms. Turner?
So after an accident crash, because it really wasn't an accident of this magnitude, the state police, they have experts that do a crime, reconstruct the scene where the accident took place. You were on a road with a posted 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. And their recreation of the events leads them to believe you were going 70. And you had 3 children in the vehicle who were under the age of 8 and required by state law to be in restraints, child safety seats. You had no child safety seat in that car, and several of those kids were yours. Why would you drive your children on a freeway without taking proper protection of them by belting them into car seats?
I take full responsibility, and this is something that I have to live for the rest of my life.
I'm asking you a why question.
They should have proper seats.
Why weren't they?
Because my wife told me to pick up her friends, and so basically they needed the space and the bag. And
so you actually had the booster seats, and you took them out of the car to go on this trip?
It was taken off before the trip.
Who took them out of the car?
My wife.
It's really, I'm really struggling with the fact, sir, that you are blaming your deceased wife. And you seem incapable of taking responsibility for the choices that you made behind the wheel of this vehicle.
I fully understand, and I take full responsibility.
But it was your wife's fault that the car was overfilled. It was your wife who took the child booster seats out, risking the lives of the children.
It was my fault. I should have made sure those booster seats should be there, and taking the right decision by not having so many people in the car. I take full responsibility. As a driver, I should have been more responsible for it.
Do you understand how when you're exceeding the speed limit and you're making bad choices about protecting the people in your vehicle, that it's not an accident?
Yes.
It was interesting to read in your interview with the parole officer when you talked about when you're released, you plan to save money, go back to your job, get your own place, and hopefully retire early.
Yes.
Don't you have multiple children to put through college?
Yes. I mean, I'm gonna
Do you
be
owe
working.
any restitution for the medical bills?
Excuse me?
Do you owe any money for the medical expenses?
Yes. But at that moment, I was not thinking to tell them that. I mean, my apology. I'm looking to work hard. I mean, I'm still a young guy. I mean, I need to plan the future of my children to get them through college. I'm a hard working guy.
I don't doubt that, Mr. Fernandez, but 2 people are dead.
I know.
Children were left without mothers.
I know.
I have no more questions for Mr. Fernandez.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. So, Mr. Fernandez, I'm interested in knowing how your children feel about the death of their mother and sibling.
My kids, they are broken heart. They feel very bad, the same way I feel.
And they don't feel as if you're the responsible person for it?
I mean, I still haven't got the time so they could ask those questions because they're small. But when they grow up, I let them know I should be more responsible.
Your children aren't in therapy?
Yes,
And are you in therapy?
I was, but having too much responsibility on top of me, I stopped doing it.
So here's the thing, Mr. Fernandez. As my colleagues have stated to you, this was such a serious offense, and you lost. There was a tremendous amount of loss as a result of your actions. And the last thing that I would hate for you to do is your children come at you, who are now with your sister, who's loving them and taking care of them, but for them to come to you and actually start to blame you and resent you because you're here and their mother isn't, or their sister isn't. And was it
Two adult women.
Oh, the two adult women. I thought that I read
The wife and her friend.
Okay. They're 26 years. Okay. Anyway, and just start to resent you because of that, and how do you handle that? Do you start self-medicating to get rid of the guilt? Because how do you deal with that? So I would encourage you to continue to speak with someone if and when you could, so that you can figure out ways to talk to your children about this in a healthy way. Because it's not going to be an easy conversation, and life isn't going to be easy for you. You're going to have constant reminders. Your children probably look just like her,
That's my goal, to go to my regular doctor and get a referral again to take therapist.
But why? I don't understand why you wouldn't do it while you're in there. Why you don't have anything but time now? Why wouldn't you do it in there?
And here?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know they had those type of program here.
All right, give us a few minutes to talk.
If it's recommended, I'm willing to take it.
Why would it have to be recommended? When do you start advocating for yourself? You know that this is something that you need, and it's not something that you need to wait until the last minute to deal with. Your kids are there. You may think that they're young and they don't know, but I guarantee you that these kids are smart nowadays, and they're going to have questions, and you're probably not going to have the answers. Yes. So you need to try to get it in order now.
Yes, I will.
All right. Sorry, Ms. Chan, who started? Okay.
Sam, he's incarcerated. His wife died. Her friend died. He has 4 children. So he has to explain what happened. I don't know how he doesn't know that there is mental health counseling there. He's not asked for any help. He doesn't have a job.
I think he was just sentenced too, so maybe things are just October.
On the job, I'm on the waiting list.
Mr. Fernandez, give us a few minutes, because your question part now is over. But I did have one more question. Are any of your children disabled because of the injuries they sustained from this? None of them. No. None of the passengers. So they've all recovered from I saw broken
everything.
Exactly. Fractured skulls. All that stuff is all healed.
Yes.
Wow. He said he talks to them. I just couldn't imagine now. You're 6 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old. I'm sure that they probably have scars that are mine. Anyway.
I would like for Mr. Fernandez to take that voice proper.
I understand. I really do think that it was an accident. I mean, I'm not going to say that he wasn't negligent in his actions. Of course he was. I I can only imagine what those poor children are going through because their father isn't there and they've lost their mom. And there really is no program that he can take that's going to fix what he's done. You know,
Nothing could ever fix what he's done.
Yeah.
But, you know, just so that he has some understanding, I'm sure that the wife's friend has family.
I'm sure too.
And I didn't hear
it was
him
her
say
husband.
anything about that. So, you know, he needs to understand how it impacts everybody else, not just him.
And it's right. That's true. But maybe he can gain a better understanding through treatment. Because he has a lot. I mean, this is not going to be an easy fix. It's not going to be a quick fix for him. This is serious. But nonetheless, he doesn't have any other criminal history, and I know that this was very, very serious. But I think that his children do need him at home to provide and try to start the healing process, the emotional, the mental healing process. So I would support his request. Ms. Turner.
I wish Mr. Fernandez had presented better today in terms of responsibility. I mean, even when he was interviewed by the parole officer, was everything just happened, but it was a series of decisions that contributed to this absolutely tragic outcome.
Agree.
And, you know, I believe the billboard. When speeding kills, it's not an accident. And that's exactly what we have here. And we actually have an unimpaired driver, but he's not owning, you know, that he was exceeding the speed limit, and then, you know, blames the wife for the extra people in the car and taking the booster seats out. We'll never know the reality of that. I'd like to rewind to the opening statement. I know we were struggling in the beginning, but did we hear remorse? I mean, we really just heard that he wants to get back to his kids and his kids.
Excuse me, sir, you can't say anything now. We're deliberating. That's my point on, I didn't hear anything about his wife's friend, family, and her children. It was just focused on himself. You know, for me, the importance of the Voices program was to just give him a little bit more information and let him expand his remorse to the other people who died and who also have family.
Exactly.
That are struggling.
That
there was no remorse.
Yes, no, I absolutely understand.
And you know, you're correct about, you know, this is his first incarceration, the first, you know, 3 felony convictions that he has. But, you know, for me, I just think he needs to have a little better understanding of really the impact, not just to him and his kids, but to other people whose lives he is responsible for.
I am going to vote with you, Madam Chair, to grant. However, you know, there are lingering things that are troubling. You know, when you become a parent, you realize the world doesn't revolve around you, and your children become your priority. But even in his release plan, he said he doesn't say, I want to, you know, make a home for my kids. He says he wants to get his own place.
Yeah.
You know, so some of it just is unsettling, but that's neither here nor there for his suitability, I guess. So I will join you in granting. He's not eligible until October. So hopefully he can take the Voices program before that.
Oh, he's on the list, though. He just got an email that he'll be in the next one, right?
Great. So
Oh, he will. Yeah, that's what that makes sense.
Okay,
He will
then
be on that list.
it falls in with what I said, you know, that he will get to take it.
Mhm.
So if he would take it, I would grant, you know, contingent on completing it since he's on the list for it.
can we make it contingent if he hasn't started it? I would be hesitant. I mean, that's not part of my stipulations.
No, yeah. I mean, we can just put in the written decision that there's a strong recommendation that he complete the voice program prior to being released, but. Okay. So so I just had
Parole to New Jersey,
Yep.
halfway house, and no driving.
He has a lawyer experience without the parole officer's permission.
I thought that his license is, it's stated to have like that.
With regard to Juan Fernandez, 445896, I move that his request for discretionary parole be granted on or after his earliest eligibility date. Officer Shamroy, I do apologize, October 19th, 2024, with the following conditions in addition to the standard parole conditions. Mr. Fernandez, you're not to operate a motor vehicle without the parole officer's permission. You'll be released to a halfway house because you want to go back to New Jersey. So in order to make that happen, they may have to put you in a halfway house before you go. And then the New Jersey, parole to New Jersey. There a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Fernandez, you've been voted to parole.
Thank
Good luck.
you.
This concludes the hearing for Juan Fernandez, inmate number 445896.
So as we can clearly see by the end of this parole hearing, he does have the ability. But only when it's about him. Only when he gets the words, "We're going to grant you parole," and then there's emotion. Think about that. Let it sink in. For those of you who might want to make excuses and say, well, no one knows how they're going to act at parole. Well, there might be a language barrier. Well, there was no emotion. He killed his wife. He killed her friend. He seriously injured 4 children. There were 7 people in his little 5-passenger car. All of them were brutally hurt. Now, the information that I'll read to you, that I'll share to you, now again, it clearly the justice system didn't think this, the courts didn't think it, but there are witnesses that said they heard the front passengers screaming before he cut them off and slammed headfirst into a tree. No braking. No mention in the reports of a tire popped either. Now, clearly, the system didn't think they had enough evidence to charge him for that, to charge him for intentionally going into the tree. But I thought I heard the parole board member kind of allude to it, saying this wasn't an accident. But all of that aside, how can you serve less than a year and get paroled for taking 2 lives? Make that make sense. We see these vehicular homicide stuff all the time. And there are definitely cases, although I don't think we've seen them, where you can say, wow, it was an accident. Wow, they had, that you can feel empathy for the person that committed it. And you can say, look, it can happen to anyone and this is terrible. But we don't see those cases. What we see are people, I don't know why it is, but we see the people that are locked up that seem to not have any empathy for their victims, that don't have insight. They said, why aren't you at therapy? His answer was, well, I'm too busy. You're doing nothing. Oh, if you want me to take therapy, I'll take therapy. And it's like, can you imagine killing your wife and someone else and injuring your babies and it's all your fault, and not wanting therapy, not seeking it out, knowing that it's free, it's even free, and you have nothing else to do. You are literally sitting in a box 24 hours a day. Wouldn't you want therapy? And they offer it, but he doesn't even take a moment to ask. What does that tell you about someone? Why does he deserve parole? What box did he check? What he has going for him is that, yeah, he kept the same job for all those years. That's a good mark. He doesn't have any previous felonies. I think that's it. Remember, what he told the parole interviewer was very different than what he told the parole board today. He didn't say he wants to get out and support his children. He said what he told the parole interviewer when he didn't realize that people would. He said, I want to get a job. I want to get my own apartment. I want to retire. So, thank you, Rich, for the info. The warrant, here it is in the warrant. Witness heard screams before speeding car slammed into tree. Okay. Police have charged a New Jersey man with negligent homicide in connection with the crash that killed 2 of the passengers in his vehicle. Juan from Union City, New Jersey, was charged with 4 counts of second-degree assault, first-degree reckless endangerment, 3 counts of risk of injury to a minor, speeding, and other motor vehicle offenses. State police said Fernandez turned himself in Wednesday at the troops barracks in Bethany on a warrant for his arrest. His 2012 Honda Accord that was heading north. Car veered into the right shoulder and struck a tree. The wreck killed 2 of the 6 passengers riding in the sedan, all of whom were residents of Union, New Jersey. State police said 30-year-old Sariana and suffered life-threatening injuries and was taken to Yale Hospital, where she died. Santos Digil died September 11th at Yale Hospital. They were pinned against the tree, if you want to imagine that. Police troop began receiving 911 calls for a crash of the northbound side of Route 15. Trooper Marissa Mock found the gray sedan with New Jersey plates resting next to the tree that it struck. The car had sustained heavy front-end damage, Mock wrote in the warrant affidavit. After the vehicle's occupants were identified and transported to the hospital, state police crash reconstruction unit arrived at the scene. Mock wrote that no child restraint systems could be seen inside or outside the vehicle, the warrant stated. A witness riding in the passenger seat of another car reported seeing the Honda pass them at 70 or 80 miles an hour, according to the warrant. The witness reported seeing and hearing a woman in the front seat of the Honda screaming as the car went past, crossing the shoulder and striking a tree. That sounds like a lot of time to hit the brakes. It sounds to me like enough time to try to correct the steering, but at least you would think hit the brakes. Witnesses said they pulled over and ran to the wreck where people were already helping pull occupants out of the vehicle. The witness told police the woman in the front seat was pinned. According to the warrant, the second woman was also pinned by her legs in the back seat. In a sworn statement, Fernandez told police that he was headed to Fall State Park with the family and a friend for a family day, according to the warrant. Near exit 58, he told police he heard a vehicle pop and said his wife told him to be careful. He told police he did not remember hitting the tree. It's like, what does that even mean, vehicle pop? It's interesting to say. The crash reconstruction unit concluded the car was traveling around 70 miles an hour when it collided with the tree, according to the warrant. Mock wrote that at the time of the crash, 5 people, including 3 children, were in the back seat of the car, which was made to hold 3 passengers. So 5 in the back, 2 in the front. And the insult to injury and the disgustingness of this nature, it was my wife's fault. My wife said to have fewer people. My wife took the booster seats out. So not only is he a complete scumbag, but he makes his wife take the seats out of the car instead of doing it himself, right? I know, just throw that in there. Somewhere the DA said, look, there's not evidence, we can't charge him for intentional stuff, so they didn't. But how do you then fall back on giving such a light sentence when 2 lives are lost? Ridiculously light sentence. And then parole him. When you're the parole board, the last line of defense, and you see what you get, you don't see someone showing up crying. You don't see someone who's taking therapy. You don't see someone who is genuinely broken. If someone crashes a car and runs over a dog, they would have been more broken than he, because he cried when he heard he was getting paroled. There are sick people out there. And then there's the system that enables them. And we see that really every day at these parole hearings. And with that, I'll let you go.
But 2 people are dead.
I know.
Children were left without mothers.
I know.